Ashley, thank you so much for joining me today to talk all about Dan Brown's The Lost Symbol. It's quite a mysterious, quite a journey that we go on over the course of this series. What was your connection to Dan Brown's work and the source material before getting involved in this project?
So I hadn't read any of the books, and I auditioned just because of the pilot script alone, which I thought was brilliant, and I already told Dan Brown this. He already knows that I hadn't read the books. Luckily, it's not like I read one and then decided that wasn't for me. Like, I hadn't read any of them, so we're fine. But then that was just very lucky, because then after being cast, I got to read. I had 3,000 pages about my character, which is just incredibly rare, and not just my character, but the character my character will become. So I could look for clues, and I didn't have to be tied to that character, but I could more just look at who that person, about why that person became that person. So I could look for little behaviors, that there's sort of like a loneliness to him, perhaps, or a distance he creates with others, or difficulty he has with, feeling, and, his knowledge seems to trap him more than free him. And those are all interesting ideas that then I could explore in a younger version of that person.
Well, and I know, speaking to that, there being an established character that you could then kind of go back and discover, since there were these movies, major blockbuster movies that came out, you obviously are playing a slightly different version. You're younger, but it's contemporary. So it, kind of feels like a, multiverse, if you will, like it's a different kind of thread. Did you actively avoid, seeing what some other performer did with the character, or did you even watch?
It's something that, I think I just from very early on knew that by every metric, that should be something that kind of weighs heavy, that people have a love for, such a love for that character, either in the films or the books. But I think it actually ended up giving me a freedom. I just knew that, I took the approach that we were leaning on their love for that character, and that actually I could do something to explain that person. And that just allowed me a distance and a freedom to both do my own thing, and also to bring in their love of that person that they do already appreciate. So, that was my approach, and, whether that was by design to subvert any nerves or not, it seemed to work. And then once we got into the actual work of it, the scripts are just so occupying that nothing else seemed to matter. They were confounding enough. The where the story goes means that I couldn't possibly tie myself to any other narrative. It wouldn't fit. Everything that happens in our story is just occupying enough.
Well, through watching the first few episodes, the tone of the series and the look of the series, and maybe it's because Eddie Izzard is involved in both of these series, but I got very much kind of like a Hannibal TV series vibe, where it's it's a reinvention, and you're not ignoring what came before it, but you're really establishing this is a new thing. This is a different take that doesn't try and replicate what came before it. And so I couldn't help but wonder, looking forward with this series, sure, it's called The Lost Symbol, but is it too early that there's been talks of we could see your Robert Langdon season 2, season 3 doing the Da Vinci Code, doing, Angels and Demons, or is it still just kind of too early?
I think those are questions that people are trying to answer already, and we're very lucky that they're already trying to answer it, even though we haven't aired yet. I think that, we're just lucky that, for whatever reason, the third book hadn't been done as a film anyway, because it just serves as an origin, as a jumping off point so well. It's just such a personal story to him. It's about a family that defines him. It's about a relationship that defines him. So it means that as a series, we get to launch him really well, and we get to put him very quickly. He doesn't have to like just jump into an esoteric situation that he does, that he has to work to feel something towards. He feels a lot right from the beginning just because of the circumstances, and that challenges him a lot, and then we get to see a lot. So I think from there, also the fact is that it's called the lost symbol, and the lost symbol refers to this idea of, it's sort of like the philosopher's stone in a way, that like it's the symbol that can help change that can spin anything into gold, or that could give people the answers to a greater life, or to change themselves to become better. And I think whatever other stories we then will go on to, could be the Da Vinci Code, could be Angels and Demons, could be Origins. Either way, I think we hang on to that idea that it's humanity's search for something better. I think that's going to be our guiding light, no matter what. It's really and that's a hunch more than anything. It's something that like we don't really know, but yeah.
I think what is so entertaining about Robert Langdon and about the stories being told with the character is that everything kind of means something, and your character really gets the opportunity to teach not just the audience, but like other characters in any given scene, that it's always like, oh, well, you'll notice with that severed hand, you'll find this tattoo, which means this and this. And it's, everyone's getting a history lesson. So when it comes to having played Robert Langdon, what did playing the character teach you, whether it be, professionally or personally? What did you really take away from the experience?
I think one of the draws, and maybe it's something that they saw in me anyway, and why I was chosen, was that I think in me I do have this genuine conflict between knowledge and feeling. I think that is something, and that's something I could explore in him. That obviously I don't have the knowledge that he has, but I think that I do share. I do share something with him, that there's a gap between thinking and feeling. That I have more that there are more like nodes I have to go through to connect with feeling and instinct than I have with thinking, and that's, I think, something that's in him as well. And I thought that, and it was a very interesting approach to take in just investigating that, is this idea that obviously we're different, but what arrests him in that way? Why is he so much more comfortable in a conversation, in an argument, than he is expressing himself or connecting on interpersonally? And I think, it's something. Have I learned anything is so interesting, but it's definitely something I get to be in communication about with him, with myself every day.
Well, and lastly here, since we already kind of talked about the potential future for the Lost Symbol and Robert Langdon, to kind of circle back to, how we kind of started and how we previously talked about Fear Street, I kind of wonder, especially now that it's out in the world, you saw fans connect with it so strongly and absolutely love it, which I don't think is an entire understatement. Has there been any sort of plan or hope that, maybe we haven't seen the last of your family, and that, maybe there could be another Fear Street for you on the horizon? Or do you think it's just kind of been a retroactive, like, we did 3 movies, we'll let someone else be the focus of a different 3 movies?
I think I would be very surprised if there was a continuation with my specific connection to those films. I think Lee planned for something very specific, and that story over 3 three films. And I think it would be, I think it's probably actually important that Nick Good is no longer with us. I think I think that message was very clear that, I think to bring him back, Lee's brilliant. Corey, who produced the films, are brilliant. And Fear Street is also can occupy. There's no point in ever saying no, because I think the door that Lee opened was one that, like, these films might not follow any rules. So who knows what might come back. But in terms of having another story where we delve into the why of Nick Good, I don't think anyone needs that.
Well, Ashley, thank you so much for taking the time to chat. Really appreciate it. Looking forward to more folks being to check out The Lost Symbol. Recently having rewatched Succession. Also, great work on Succession. Just great work all around. And thank you so much for taking the time.
Thanks, man. Really, really appreciate it.